Hi everyone, welcome back to the Motograph World channel. My name is Mari. Today I'll be comparing two entry model sedans made in Korea. First, the K3 from Kia, also known as the Forte in the United States, and the Elantra of Hyundai. Let's see how both of them drive and of course the design. Now let's take a look at both of the faces of the cars first. First of all, the Kia K3. When they first came out with the K3, they said that they got inspiration from fighter jets. As you can see, the headlamps are slightly bent upwards, and of course the grille, which is quite emblematic of the Kia models, these kind of blocks in the front. Altogether, I kind of like the face of the K3. It looks more robust and a bit more masculine, and it makes the car look a little bit bigger than it already is. And now moving on to the Elantra of Hyundai. They had revamped this design completely with the new model, and a lot of people really liked it. All together, they have a new platform and the car is sitting lower down onto the ground. And so as you can see from comparison, it's much lower down, it's slightly wider, and it's a bit flatter. However, I am not really too sure about the face of the car. The grille is quite relevant with the Hyundai aesthetics, as well as the headlamps. Altogether, for the face, I like the Kia K3 a little bit better. I like the profile of the K3 a little bit better because it's just so clean and streamlined. You have one line going from the headlamps all the way back to the tail lamps. You see this one distinct line going through and nothing else that bothers the profile of the car. As for the wheels, you have two 25, 45, 17-inch wheels for the K3. Now let's go over to the Avante or Elantra. As for the Elantra, you can see that it has a slightly upward drawing line from the start to finish. The side profile is a bit reminiscent for me of the Tucson. I loved the Tucson model, but honestly, I didn't really like the cuts in the character lines because it was too much. But you see a very similar pattern going through with the Elantra as well. And as for the wheels, they're exactly the same with the K3, the 225, 45, 17-inch wheels. What do you think? I thought that this one looked very futuristic, out of some kind of sci-fi movie, and this one a little bit more classic compared to this, but still sportier than the previous generation. Let's first look at the Kia K3. They have the new logo attached to the back as well as inside on the steering wheel. And they have this aluminum colored K3. Both of them stand out really well. And even with the tail lights and the overall single bar that goes all the way through, it's very clean and there's not too much detail going on. Let's move on to the Elantra. In Korea, we call it the Avante. That's why you see the lettering below the Hyundai logo. If you start with the tail lamps, it has a T-shaped tail lamp, and then it goes all the way through, and then another shaped T at the back. I personally did not really like the backside of this vehicle because of all of the edges and the volume that it was doing to the back. And now going down to this part, both of them have fake vents down here. And so it does give the illusion of having the exhaust down here, but if you try to push it in, it doesn't go in. Both of them have quite spacious trunks. Let's first look at the Kia. The Kia has a deeper opening. However, in terms of the width, it's not as large as the Elantra. However, all the way back, it goes until the second row seats, so you have more than enough room for luggage. And now over to the Elantra. Because the car itself is wider and lower down on the ground, you see a wider opening for the trunk. However, this opening right here, it's not as big. but still you have so much room inside that goes all the way back to the second row seats, which gives you more than enough room for luggage. So now I'm inside the Kia K3. It's very simple. The overall design and of course the features are quite streamlined. You don't have too much nor too little. First, let's look at the steering wheel. You have the new Kia logo that's embedded onto the center. And you also have the 10.25-inch digital dashboard as well as the digital display. Other than that, it's very simple. Kind of looks like a rental car, some people have said, but I think what they're trying to imply is that it's very simple and just the basics. The steering wheel is quite slim and it has good grip. You have high gloss material that's been applied here, as well as here. You can already see that it's grabbing dust. I think that some people might not really like it too much because you really see how dirty it can become inside the car. It does have an aesthetic appeal, but then again, you'd have to wipe it clean all the time. And now for the seats. The seats are not too small considering that this is the smallest sedan that they're offering. They have the perforated seats in the middle and it has pretty good cushion. As for the housing material up on here, it's slightly cushiony and it's the same material that they used on the door trim up on here. I was surprised because I thought that the second row seats would be very tight, but to my surprise, it's quite spacious considering that it's a very small car. I still have a lot of leg room. The seats are the same as the front row seats. However, there's one thing I noticed. For the armrest in the middle, there's no handle or anything to grab onto. So once it's fully in, you have to squeeze your fingers in and then pull this out, which might be a little bit uncomfortable. The center tunnel is quite minimal. It's not too large, and the center seats are also not too bad. You have the regular HVACs and also the high gloss black finish on the door handle. I don't know why they put it here because I think that this would actually be a fingerprint magnet and then you'd have to be wiping it clean all the time. See, already. It's completely different inside. The design aesthetics of the Elantra are completely different from the K3. First, let's look at the line of sight and visibility. Compared to the K3, although the car itself, all of it is quite low on the ground, the bottom half of the car is a bit lower, thereby giving you a little bit more space for the window. I believe that they'll be very similar to each other, but it just feels that it is a little bit cleaner and wider for the viewing angle. The car is slightly wider than the K3, so maybe that also has a little bit to do with it. As for the display, they've attached the 10.25 inches together to make it seem as if it's one whole panel, but you can also see that they're divided inside with the digital cluster and the infotainment screen and the sat nav. One thing I don't really understand is why they had to leave this blank and then put a weird infographic of a circle on it. I thought that maybe it had touch functions and I was trying to touch it on my way here, but it has completely no function whatsoever. It's just I don't even know if it's a design feature. It's just a circle that they have. For the center fascia, this one is completely geared towards the driver compared to the K3 where everything was quite simple, but for this one, you can really see that this is distinctly a driver's car. All of the control panels are slightly angled towards the driver, and this line that breaks the passenger seat with the driver's seat. This one has also used a lot of the high glossy black plastic materials, which is also grabbing dust as we speak. This Elantra model has the ambient lighting attached to it. You can change the colors. The K3 had no ambient lights whatsoever, and compared to some other models, it's quite distinctive that you see with the ambient lights. And now for the seats. Both seats on the Elantra and the Kia K3 are quite comfortable, except that this one has a little bit more support in the side bolsters. I think the seating area itself is not that different, but as for the top part here, I think it has a little bit more support compared to the Kia K3. It's definitely larger or more spacious compared to the K3. The foot space is quite longer. You also have the air vents. The Kia K3 had a USB port, but this one doesn't. As for the center tunnel is slightly higher in the Elantra compared to the K3. And here is the handle for the armrest. So it's a bit more easy to pull out and also put back in. The seats in the second row are a little bit harder than the front row. Doesn't mean that they're uncomfortable, but because the front two seats were packed with a lot of cushion and the side bolsters, these ones are a bit more sturdy, firmer at the back. So my overall perspective of the interior design, I think the Hyundai Elantra is a bit more upscale compared to the K3. Now here we go on our test drive of the Kia K3. And now this is a compact sedan. And once I step on the gas, it definitely tells me that it's having a little bit of a difficult time revving up to a certain power and speed. So at the moment, I'm cruising at around 80 kilometers per hour. One thing I do notice for this vehicle is that it tells you that it's having a hard time when it goes on faster speeds. But if you're just cruising at a slower speed, it's not really that much of a problem. It is quite responsive, but overall, when you're driving the car, it feels like a smaller car and it drives like a smaller car too. But in terms of the stability of the vehicle, it's quite an easy drive. And it also has the drive mode. Right now it's on Eco, you have Sports, you can hear the change in the sound of the engine, and then you have Smart. Let's try Sports. The car becomes a bit more swifter on its wheels. Cornering stability. Considering that this is this size of a vehicle, yes. Good on the speed bumps. So this model compared to the Elantra is slightly higher up on the ground. So when you're going fast on the speed bumps, I don't think that you'd have that much trouble. The suspension too, it might be a bit softer, but you still hear that really aggressive noise when you're stepping on the gas. At the moment, we've driven for 10 minutes and it says we've traveled a distance of 15.2 kilometers and the mileage stands at 15.1 kilometer per liter. So not too bad. I'm curious as to how the Avante will do. Now I'm in the Elantra, and this, as we mentioned, has a completely new platform. It has the same powertrain, but it has newer platform. I didn't think that it would be so much drastically different, but from the get-go, I do feel that there is a difference and an improvement compared to the Kia. It's wider, it's lower, and so overall, you have better balance. The car is very responsive, going up to 80 kilometers or 90 kilometers per hour. And I feel that the steering wheel is also kind of guiding its way, whereas the K3, the steering wheel felt quite light. So going at higher or faster speeds, again, it's very stable. Right now, I was driving at 120 kilometers per hour, but I didn't really feel that it was that fast. Whereas in the Kia K3, after you go above that 100 kilometer per hour, the car starts to tell you that it's having a lot of trouble or that it's a bit stressed, so go slower. Whereas this one, I was going faster than I had thought, and I didn't really feel that it was going that fast. New platform comes with better drivability, obviously. So this right now has the highway driving assist function. And then you get a green steering wheel sign showing you that it's actually helping you on the highway. And it will move on its own, guiding you through. So you don't have to hold on to the steering wheel too tightly. It will come in handy and it will be quite helpful for longer drives. So now we're approaching the heavy traffic portion of the highway. We've driven for about 23 minutes and a distance of 32.8 kilometers. The mileage seems to be slightly better on the Elantra compared to the K3. The mileage stands at 16.8 kilometers per liter, slightly higher than the K3. So, how did you enjoy our review of the Kia K3 and the Hyundai Elantra? I thought that I liked the Kia K3 much better compared to the Elantra when we were starting off. But as I test drove the two vehicles, I am leaning more towards the Hyundai Elantra just because of the driving ability of the car. So tell us what you think in the posts down below. Remember to hit subscribe and I will see you next time. Bye.